Hello, it's me again, Vanessa Freeman Smith, telling you my story on my journey with stage 4 colon cancer. This is part 4. On part 1, I spoke about my diagnosis. Part 2, I talked about my hospital stay. Part 3 is when I arrived home. I do want to point out when I mentioned my mother was in rehab because she had her leg amputated. She had to learn how to walk again, how to do for herself. So she was in rehabilitation for about 3 months. I just wanted to clarify that. Okay, I think I left off with my first day of chemo. Like I said, I cried like a baby my first day of chemo. It was a scary experience, but as I mentioned before, chemo did not hurt. It was not painful. But just the thought of having to have it and how long I had to have it and all the questions that ran through my mind and confusion and wonder, it was upsetting for me, emotionally upsetting. My cousin Tammy was there my first day and my daughter, Sink. My oldest daughter, Varlisha, who's now a doctor, I'm proud to say, had to work. It was demanding. Her job is very demanding. But she came right after she got off from work to my house to visit me. Chemo drained me. I was very tired. I was there all day. My first round of chemo, when I first started chemo, I had to go 3 days a week, 2 full days, and then a partial day. And on that third day, actually on the first day, before I left to go home, I had to get connected to a bag to have at-home chemo. They actually had chemo that I had to take home with me. And the nurse would come out to visit and check my vitals and everything and check the chemo because I had to keep it on until the third day. And on the third day, they removed the chemo, the overnight chemo. So I actually had chemo all day on Monday, overnight Monday to Tuesday, all day on Tuesday, overnight Tuesday to Wednesday, and then part of the day on Wednesday. And after chemo, I had to get this shot. And I always say it wrong, Nestra. It was a shot for my white blood count because being sick, and especially on chemo, it affects your white blood count, which fights off, it's your immune system. It fights off the germs and everything. And my white blood count had gone down very low. At one point, I couldn't go around anyone, couldn't be around anyone. I had to be very careful, and I still do today, I have to be careful with germs. Wash my hands constantly. Wear a face mask if necessary if I was around other people. I was only, it was suggested that I only be around immediate family, people that I've been around. It's a few people. I could not go places like the movies, the mall, get-togethers. And I didn't go out a lot anyway, but just the thought of being confined and wary about picking up someone else's germ or any kind of germ, it was detrimental. My doctor said if I picked up anything, it could be detrimental to me. So here I was fighting the cancer and also worried about picking up a germ that could kill me. But this shot was supposed to boost my white blood count, and in some instances it did. Sometimes it didn't do very much. When I first started chemo, I had a CEA of 4,000. And they say that's your tumor marker. I call it the cancer count. But I had a CEA of 4,000. I went down rapidly. I started going down, and the doctor was so happy. He was amazed that I responded so well to chemo. After starting chemo, I didn't have much of an appetite. There was this metallic taste in my mouth. It was just awful. Like, who wants to eat with that feeling, that taste? It was just, I'm not going to say who wants to eat because some people can tolerate it. I couldn't tolerate it. So I lost even more weight because I couldn't eat. So I started drinking Ensure. My daughters kept a supply of Ensure for me. I have friends who sent me Ensure. I even ordered Ensure from Abbott, I believe, Abbott Laboratories. Abbott, the company that makes it. I ordered like a huge box of it. So I wanted to keep my weight up, and I wanted to gain weight. And I also looked online, and I bought this breakfast mix. That's supposed to help you gain weight. I went to the health food store and discovered many other things, which I'll talk about later. Like I said, I want to keep these videos short because I don't want to bore you to the fact that you cut them short and not hear maybe what I have to say at the end, which usually the end that's when I give my testimony and maybe share some other important information. But, in the beginning I had a hard time. I even went into depression and didn't even know I was depressed. I just said, I'm not depressed. What did the doctor mean, depressed? I'm not, because I cried all the time. Not boo-hooing crying. It just tears was always flowing down my eyes. Someone could say something about cancer or say something that was close to my heart and tears would start rolling. I cried. Most of my crying was at night though. But the teardrops, that was any time. I had to be careful. It was like I had to control my cry, my tears. But, so the doctor said I was depressed, and they already knew I had anxiety because I had an attack. I had a panic attack in the hospital after my surgery. That was really bad. I felt like I couldn't breathe. It was, the news was devastating. That's all I could say, Like I said before, everything happened starting in 2011. My mother was ill in November in a coma in November. The end of November into December, I left my husband, got my own home. I got a new job in February, lost my job in May. My mother went back into the hospital in June, had a couple of toes amputated, and then had to have her leg amputated. I decided to move closer so that I had more access to Delaware, so I moved to New Jersey. Because I used to drive from the Poconos to Delaware every weekend. New Jersey's where my children are, so I'm near my children and grandchildren, and I can go right over the bridge, not far from the bridge, to go to Delaware. So I moved here August 17th. The following week is when I was diagnosed with colon cancer. So I think God was preparing me, because if I had still been working in the Poconos, I would still be living there, and I would end up in the hospital there, which I would prefer not to have, because that would have been difficult on my family. That would have been difficult on me, mentally and emotionally, because I would worry about seeing my family and worried about how everyone's doing, because who can travel back and forth to the Poconos like every day or every weekend? It's rough. It was rough for me. But for people up in age, they can't do that. My dad couldn't do that. So God kind of prepared me. I look back and I think God was preparing me for this day, from the day of my diagnosis, so that I would be surrounded by family and I would be closer to my parents and other family members and friends. But like I said before, I found out, and I always thought in my head, when someone says cancer, that's it. Because I know family members who have died from cancer. I have close friends who have died from cancer. And when I heard the word cancer, I immediately thought I was a goner, But it's not a life sentence, and my doctor assured me of that. And I've been responding well to treatment, and I have hope. I have faith and hope, and I truly believe that I'm going to be around for a long time, because my work here on earth is not done. It's so much more I want to do to help others and to help myself, to help my family. It's so much more I want to do. I will continue with my story. And like I said, for those who might be facing this, chemo is not that difficult. You have to go in with a positive mind. You have to go in knowing you're going to be well. Don't go in thinking I'm going to die. I'm not saying that this is a guarantee assurance that everything will be all right. But just try to stay as positive as you can. I mean, people told me this. It was kind of difficult at first, but I got it. I got it. If you're a Christian person, just keep the faith. Pray. Read your Bible. Surround yourself with positive people. Go to church. I'm not saying church is the only place for positive people. Surround yourself with positive people in general. Your family members, friends, the community. Just stay strong.